Good morning. Denise Dryden out here on Bainbridge Island, and it's another sunny day, and I get to sit underneath this arbor, and there's bees buzzing over there, so maybe you'll hear them while we're doing this. So today I want to talk about the art of tempering, and it came up when I was working all this week with different energies, and I thought, you know, God, we're right in the middle of summer heat waves, especially on the East Coast. The climate in the United States is a little heated right now. It's hot, it's intense. And we entered into Leo season, which is on the 22nd of July. So we're in the middle of fire. And maybe this is a time to talk about fire and what that means, right? So, because fire is about passion, and it's about spiritual sort of energy, and it's the element of you know, whether it's earth, wind, air, or fire, it's an element that's essential. It's a core piece of who we are. And when we talk about fire as a system, it's about how we move. It's about how we move things from one place to another. It's how we navigate in the world. It's momentum. It's action. It's fuel. It's force. So, you know, we have water, which is how we feel, right? We have air, which is how we breathe and how we think. We have the physical 3D, which is the world we walk in and the things we interact with. But the ability to move around in the world comes from fire. It comes from that momentum. And so, you know, it's where we effort at things. It's where we strive. It's where we make something happen. So, you know, this fire energy is huge when we really get down to what is this all about. So I like to use, when I'm working with my clients, I like to use the concept of a gas stove and a pilot light, you know, or a gas stove and there's the pilot light, right? And it's always on, and you just turn the dial and it goes medium, or goes low, medium, high. And so you can turn the heat up and you can turn the heat down. And so, you know, we are these regulators of how we access this momentum, how we access this action, how we access this heat. Makes sense, right? So we get to gauge and decide what we need and what we want. So we all have fire, and we use it in different ways. We are not fireless. We just have, some of us have a lot more, and some of us have a lot less, and some of us are impacted by people who have a lot of fire in their body. So fire is in the sign, has three astrological signs: Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. And so those three, Sagittarius is like where you put that passion into learning, into expanding your wisdom. Leo's like how you put yourself out there in the world. Aries, man, Aries is this independent pioneer sort of, this is who I am, this is what I need to be energy. And when Aries fire gets going, it's pretty intense. And I wanted to sort of just not do much more on astrology, but to be able to bring in that Chiron, the wound, the wounded healer, is in Aries and went into Aries in 2018 and is going to stay till 2027. So we have almost 9 years of having this heat turned up on something that we have left unaddressed. So whether your Chiron is in Aries, or whether you just happen to notice that there's a heck of a lot of heat going on right now on the things that bother you, it's important to know. So that's why I wanted to talk about tempering today, right? So what are you experiencing? What are you noticing throughout all of this? You know, are you in reaction? Are you quick to flame? Are you quick to react to other people? You know, how are you doing, and how are the people around you doing, right? So there's these terms like, you know, there's she's high-tempered, he's quick to temper, there's temper tantrums, there's all these things that go on around the word of temper, right? And when we're quick to temper, we get heated, we get angry, we explode, we need to vent, we have to release, we have to let go. And we see this in little ones all the time as they're exploring, gosh, what do I do when there's excess, when I'm frustrated, when I'm irritated, when I have all these emotions or all these things swirling around me and I don't know what to do, what they know how to do is just like, wah, yell, make it come out of their body. Makes sense, right? So, you know, as adults, we sometimes still have some of those skill sets, and we've also learned to manage them in a different way, right? So to temper means that it's a state of mind. It's a degree of hardness or elasticity, and sort of the where are you between rock hard and elasticity or elastic, right? Are you able to stretch, or are you pretty solid, or where are you on this? To temper is to counterbalance or neutralize something, to bring it into the balance that you need. You can dilute it, you can qualify it, you can soften it by the addition of something else, or you can influence it. But to temper is to manage something so that you get it into balance. It's to attain the proper measurement or mix. It's to regulate, to make something suitable, desirable, to make something fit. And it is usually when there is freedom from excess. It's balance. So tempering is really conscious. Of all things, it's it's very conscious, and it's bringing into balance too much or too little. And so when we look at tempering as it's related to our fuel, right, our fire, it's about, am I in balance? Do I have too much going on? Do I have too little going on? And how I access my passion, my spirit, my intention and my actions. And so it's learning how to play with it and direct it and letting go of experiencing it. For some of us, we have to just go like, man, I can't even be creative. I don't even know how to access all that fire. And other people are like, I have so much fire, I don't know how to tone it down. And it makes sense, right? So when we're looking at tempering, we're working at all times with the level of how we deal with fire. So we mediate and we manage. And we sort of work with and partner with this heat consciously, right? Consciously. So here's something that I came across, and I was working with the Temperance card, which is the 14 in the Major Arcana in the Tarot deck, right? And Temperance is beautiful. It's sort of like that blend of fire and water. It's the marriage of fire and water, and it's all about balance in the middle way. And it's not an easy card when you get it at all to work with, right? And when I took a class, a mystery school class for the last 2 years, and we were studying the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. And the Kabbalah has these pathways. And the pathway of temperance, the card, stick with me, this is pretty good. The pathway of temperance is between Tiphereth and Yesod. And so I know it doesn't mean much to very many of you, but I'm going to break it down. Tiphereth is the solar plexus. It's how we breathe. It's how we regulate ourselves. It's how we sustain oxygen into our blood and feed it to all the cells in our body. It's how we maintain our own sense of balance. And Yesod is the moon. It's the subconscious. And so what's happening is it's this pathway, which is, here I am out in the world doing my thing, and all of a sudden I'm fed from the subconscious something that I wasn't aware of. I didn't know was there. It's the unknown. It's the hidden. It's the things like the fears. And it's our fears. It's our untold stories. It's our chaos. It's our confusion. It's things that are unpredictable. And so temperance is what happens when something comes up that you didn't know about it, and you're in the middle of life, and all of a sudden these pieces from the subconscious come up and the fire gets really big, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? And so we get triggered, and we get scared, and we get anxious, and we grip, and we try to control. So when we're thinking about tempering, think, gosh, here we are trying to maintain this fire, and we're being fed at all times by things that are subconscious, things that are unknown to us, and our job is to manage those two. So sometimes we don't do it very well, right? We get inflamed, we get angry, we push out at people, or sometimes we just get overwhelmed, like I don't know what to do, and we try to turn the flame down as much as we can. Does that make sense? Yeah, I thought the temperance thing on the Kabbalah worked for us for right now. So the piece to go to is that the hotter it gets, the less control we can perceive, and the more external chaos is out there, and the hotter we get, it's sort of like, oh my God, there's all this unknown energy. And so we have these emotions combined with fire. And that's temperance again, fire and water. So it's the heat of the mind or the heat of emotions. And we have these habitual ways of thinking about it, behaving or reacting when the heat goes up. So what we want to do now is we want to look at those habitual ways. So, you know, when we were children, we've seen children have tantrums. There's anger, there's rage, there's explosive reactions. There's also this really huge sense of helplessness, like, I don't know what to do. And so what happens when we're adults is we still have all of those, only we throw those on the people around us. So it's all about how we temper this flood of heat when it comes in. There's going to be heat. How do we manage it? How do we temper it? So it's how we guide and we teach ourselves and our children to understand and mediate, you know, when this flame comes up. Don't be afraid of it. Just learn how to play with it. So it's kind of like you're the lion tamer or you're the fire master, right? Or you play with passion. You know, what we want to do is we want to get to know that flame. So we want to harness it and use mastery in our use of fire. Because if we have too much control, the flame is flat and it doesn't really do anything. And if we have too little control, we're just like exploding and out there all the time. And sometimes in anger, and sometimes throwing anger at people. And that doesn't really work either, right? Okay, so part of this video series is always that I give you some tips. And with my experience in family systems and parent-child relationships and our inner child and reparenting, it just means it makes a lot of sense to go through some solid tips. So, you know, the art of tempering is first and foremost is to go find your fire. Seek it out. See, you know, get to know it. Like, oh, where is the fire in my body? Where does it show up? What is it about? So you get to know it, right? You start to play with it. Number 2 is become conscious of your relationship with it. You know, do you push it away? Are you afraid of it? Do you throw it around at others? Do you use it as excuses? Well, it's okay. I was just mad. You know, or what do you do when you have this fire in your body, right? So understand the relationship you have with it. And then recognize, number 3, that it intensifies and when you're triggered, the heat goes up. That's it. The heat goes up. What happens in your body? What do you notice when the heat goes up? What do you notice when you're really excited? What do you notice when you're really angry? What do you notice when you're really frustrated? Okay. Number 4, bring it into balance. Bring it into balance, which is you stabilize your breathing. And there's videos that I have tons of videos behind me on these stations or channels where you can go and look at how to stabilize your breathing. So you can reduce it or you can intensify it. You can increase your breath to bring it up. You can slow down your breath to bring it down. Because what we want to do is we want to create the mix. We want to temper the mix of fire that we have in our body that works for us at that time. Number 5, we want to use external awareness to sort of check in. Like practice with some things. You know, and I know it sounds really mundane, but practice making eggs and turn the heat up really, really high and watch how it doesn't work when you cook them too high, or some eggs do and some eggs don't. Go really low in your temperature. Play with water, hot and cold. If a bath is too cold, it's not comfortable and you're irritable. And if it's too hot, it hurts and it burns. And so like play with different things in the external world that give you information of how heat is experienced and perceived. And number 6, observe. Become the observer. Observe you and another. Look at the relationship. When I'm angry, my kids step back and they go to their rooms and they hide. My partner is either in my face or avoidant of me. You know, like notice when your heat's up. Do you draw people to you or do you push people away? Because depending on how you use your heat. Then you can also play with it in your environment. which is, you know, if I'm really, really heated, what happens with traffic? What happens with time? What happens at work? What happens with the people that I'm around? You know, notice, what's this relationship between the external world responding to me when I move my heat and my passion around? 7, play with the dial. Turn it up and observe, turn it down and observe. And this is our best tool, because what we notice is that, like, I can be a little intense. So when I turn it down a little bit, I notice people step in a little bit more. So when I soften, when I blend in a little bit more softness, people can step in a little bit easier. And number 8, final, own it. This is yours. Nobody can make you do anything. Nobody can make you mad. Nobody can make you explode. Nobody can make you have a temper tantrum or turn into a controlling, you know, person trying to shut something down. This is you. This is what happens when our flame goes up and our flame goes down, or our flame is triggered, okay? So what I would say is, this is yours to own and manage. So have fun managing it and manage it well. Because what we want to do is we want to watch what happens. Okay, so the art of tempering is getting really familiar with the flame within us and playing with it, especially during the month of sun, flame, fire, heat. If you want more information on how to access my videos or talk with me, you can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. Have a great Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye. See you next week.